Hey,
Hey.
welcome back to page 3. I'm Ellie.
And I'm Sydney.
And today, well, first let's address the elephant in the room.
We did
We
not
missed
post
a
last
week.
week.
We didn't film last week. I was down really bad. I
Yeah.
had a horrible sickness. I don't know what hit me, but I was bedridden every single day. There was absolutely no way that I could do anything, let alone film. And then Syd, because she was visiting me, got whatever I got too. So it was kind of a back-to-back situation.
And thankfully, I got the tail end of it, so I was not nearly as bedridden, but day 2 for me was really brutal, and then we came
Yeah.
to the conclusion that we needed to
It's
time
just
it.
not gonna happen that past week. And I actually felt like a lot of guilt over it, but I was like, I think our health is the most important thing, so I need to, like,
Yes.
just chill.
Now
But,
we have more to talk about today.
exactly. So I'm sorry that we missed last week, that was horrible. We missed our book of the month for our first section of the book of the month, so we're gonna be talking about both sections at the end of the video. If you stay, if you don't know what book of the month is, we read a book every month together. We split it up into sections and talk about it every week,
Yep.
the different things that we're reading. So, and we're reading Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil by V. Schwab.
Yep.
So stay tuned, stay along for that. And then today's episode, we're going to talk about heartbreak and how to get through a breakup, because
Baby.
one of us is going through that right now,
Ding, 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 ding.
and the other one of us went through that about a
A
year
little
ago.
over a year ago? Yeah.
Yeah, over a year ago.
So, yeah, we figured we'd talk about this. It has now been well over a month since my breakup, and during that time, we debated if I was gonna say anything about it on the podcast. Obviously, last episode, we teased it a little bit, talking about change of post-grad and, like, the changes I'm going through in my own life and whatever, and then we kind of realized that between what Ellie's been through and the advice she gave me and what I'm going through now, that we're definitely not the only people, and we have some good, or what I would think are.
Totally. I think heartbreak in general is awful. And I think the first time that I went through it, I had obviously had my heart broken in different ways, but my most recent breakup was absolutely the hardest on me. And I think at that point, I kind of realized why everybody writes songs about it because I was like, wow, what else can you do except put it into art?
Yeah.
And it's so painful, and it's crazy how painful it is, and it's so different than anything I've ever experienced. When I was in grad school, I was going through my breakup, and I came to class the week after. Or maybe I took a week off because I was really down bad, and I came back and I was like, "Guys, I got broken up with." And everyone was like, "Okay, so are you gonna write, like, the saddest things ever?" And I was like, "Oh, baby, just strap in, strap up, here we go. Like, you don't even know what's gonna hit you." And I was writing the most depressing stuff ever, but it really helped. So I think that's my advice, is to, obviously, I'm a writer. If you're new here, I'm a writer. So I believe that it's best through, like, journaling, putting it into art, eviscerating it for your body, which is true for all pain. I really believe that for all pain, trauma, childhood issues, anything really. I believe that just placing it into something that's outside of you is the best way to heal.
Yeah.
Talking shit with your friends is also a lot of fun. Going to California to see your best friend also helps, I hear.
Yeah. Well, for me, I this is my first heartbreak, first breakup I've ever been through, which I think is a double whammy because it was also like first real adult relationship, like very long term, 5 years, and first heartbreak all in one. Like they really, really don't prepare you for something like that. And I will say, like, I did a lot of crying. I did a lot of feeling sorry for myself. I did a lot of, why did this happen to me? How could somebody do this to me? Blah, 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 the whole thing. And I think the thing, and we touched on this a little bit last episode, is that I have a lot of, like, I'm a quality over quantity friends situation. Like, I have really, really, really good friends and few of them. And that's totally fine by me. And I think I didn't realize, like, how much I had them until I went through something like this. And it was like literally the day I texted my friends at 4 in the morning, the night that we broke up. And I said, me and blah, blah, blah broke up last night, whatever. And by 8 a.m., my friends were at my door, get up, we got things to do today. We're gonna drink some coffee. We're gonna have some food. They are calling each other, being like, "Is she eating? Are you making sure you're doing this?" Like, they all like really showed up for me in that way. Ellie called me and was like, "Do you need me to fly there? Like, do you need me to be there right now? Like, I'll come. Do you need to come here?" I did end up going there for 10 days, but and then I went and saw my family and whatever. But my friends really didn't allow me to question myself, which I think is a big thing. Like, one of my friends wrote me a letter and gave it to me a couple of days after we broke up, and she wrote something in it that said something along the lines of like, when you go through something like this, it's really easy to start questioning yourself. What could I have done better? Who am I as a person? What is my self-worth? Did I deserve to be treated this way or not? Did I do something that could have led me here? Da 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 da. And she wrote this and she was like, but you can't do that. Like, you can't feel that way. Like, this is, for lack of a better way the cookie crumbles sometimes. Like, you can't sit there and blame yourself or your self-worth. My friends didn't allow me to do that. They called me every day, made sure I was getting out of bed. You know, they let me beat the dead horse over and over and over again. But I just wonder if they'd be like, nope, no, 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 no. Like, we're not going to do that. We're not going to even entertain that. Like, we're not going to. And I had definitely a little bit of a diluted mindset of this breakup for a while of like, it's not really permanent. Like, and things will just, they'll figure themselves out. Like, I definitely believed that. And one of my friends, which at the time I was like, God, how would you say that to me? Now I'm like, thank God you said that to me. One of my friends sat me down and was like, I don't want to crush your dreams. And, you know, if there is a way, maybe that's the truth. Like, people do come back from stuff like this, but you got to let go of the hope. You can't. Like, you will never heal and you will never get over this and you will never be able to move on with or without this person if you sit there thinking that it's just going to change and that like the decision is not permanent, because you have to operate under the assumption that it is. And at the time I was like, what the hell? Like, that's so fucked.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest advice that I have is just, like, I didn't realize how much you could lean on the people around you. Like, you have your best friends and you know you're really close with them and you know that you would tell them anything, but until you're faced with a situation in which you really would do anything for them and they really are doing anything for you, you don't really grasp the gravity of, like, how meaningful those relationships are. And the way that my friends, this is, like, probably one of the hardest things I've ever gone through while being friends with these people, like, while they've even been in my life, and the way that they showed up for me, like, without my asking, without my questioning, like, they just didn't give me the option to wonder, like, they just showed up and did everything. They were like, "If you need to cry, we do that. If you need to go out, we do that. If you need to sit in bed, we do that, but we're gonna do something every day. Like, it's one day at a time, and you're gonna do that." Or I think you just never realize, like, what village you have until you need them, you know?
100%. I also think it's really different because I think we met a lot of our friends after we had been through things. So there's something kind of less vulnerable, I feel, about
Totally.
unpacking something in retrospect than to actively unpack it and to actively be going through something because you're such a fragile state. I think
Yeah,
that was something that I talked about in our last episode, and I really believe is that I was always one of those friends that would just be like, "Oh, I'm good. Like I'm okay. I'm good. I'm good. I'm good." And when you're put in a situation where you really can't lie, even though I had been in situations where I could, like, I really was, it's not as if I'd never been through anything before. I
yeah,
had it. I don't know why this was such a different one if I just couldn't hide it or it was a lot
yeah,
harder for me to hide. So, yeah. Also, I feel like when we were going through stuff, Sid and I are very young in terms of life. We're both 22, 23. And so when a lot of the things that we've been through in life happen when we were teenagers. And when you're a teenager, you can tell a lie like nobody's business. So I think it's different than when you're just, going through something as an adult and you just can't lie and you just
yeah,
can't put on a face and what that looks like. And I think it's really just difficult. I think you just have to take it one day at a time. My breakup was very much like held on tight to the belief that we were meant to be together. And I really like people told me like, don't believe that you're gonna get back together. Don't do that. Don't do that. And I was like, you losers. Like we're getting back together. And we did. So I will
you're
say,
the anomaly in that situation. That's
yeah,
not normal.
it's not normal. And our whole breakup was very not normal at
Yeah,
all. So I think that you just kind of you gotta trust yourself. I think above anything, I think that's one thing. One of my favorite books that I read, which is called The Sea of Tranquility. It goes on this long poetic paragraph about how when you're going through hell, everyone around you is going to tell you to use their rule book when you're going through hell. This is what I did. This is what you should do. This is how you should be acting. And basically, like her belief was that, like, there is no rule book. When you're going through hell, there's no you just gotta go through it. And nobody's terrain is gonna look the same. Nobody
No.
the obstacles that you're working through, the betrayal that you're facing when you feel like you're broken up, circumstances around that are very unique to every single person. So there's no way that yours is gonna look the exact same, and you could take 5 steps forward, go 4 steps back, like, constantly just kinda going through it, and you gotta kinda just believe in yourself and because a lot of people will say things that you don't wanna fucking hear, and hearing them, but also kind of having a filter system, be like, "You know what? I don't need to deal with that right now. I don't need to deal with that right now." And I would
Yeah.
say, Sid, like, you really did great at getting yourself through this and really are totally killing it. Totally
Thank you.
killing it now.
I think
Blown.
that everybody, and I know I also said this, like, in relation to this last episode, as I had said, like, there is nothing anybody can say to you that will make you feel better, quite
Yeah.
frankly, and it's not for lack of effort and because what they're saying isn't good advice, it's just I think, like you said, when we were teenagers, like, a lot of what me and Ellie went through when we were younger and, like, the hardships in our life, we were actively going through very much in parallel and together for a lot of
Yeah.
that. And then when you get to college, or at least at the age that we're at, when you start making these new relationships that didn't know you when you were at that point in time, it's really easy to talk about them and to tell about your past and your past traumas, like as if you're telling a story that didn't happen to you and be like, oh no, I'm fine about that. Like it's fine,
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah, yeah.
And then all of a sudden, for the first time, something really real happens and it's not a story. It like actually is happening to you right then and there. And you can't be like, you can't really laugh your way out of that. And I think a lot of people like I have so much love for the fact that everybody wanted to like tell me all of the things that they told me and like I did hear them, but at the same time it felt so stupid because in the moment you're like this is like this doesn't make me feel better. Like because the only thing anybody can tell you is like it's going to get better and it just takes time and you need to do this and the thing is like A, there's no rule book for grief. B, you're not allowed there's like an unspoken rule that you're not allowed to judge anything that anybody does when they're grieving. You're not allowed to. It's you just cannot. You Everybody grieves differently and everybody wants to tell you all of these things. And until you've been through it, like I thought I understood heartbreak. I've been there for a lot of my friends when they've been through it. You don't get it until it happens to you. I like you really don't. One of my friends told me that I literally like I told Ellie this when we were together. I like woke up and had this realization like, oh, she was right. Is they were like, there's nothing anybody can say that will make you feel better. Nobody everybody will tell you time will heal all. Everybody will tell you that you'll just wake up one day and feel better. But it's not true because it's not going to make you feel better. Like and she was like, the truth is that every day you think about them a little less. And one day you wake up and you haven't thought about them at all. And that's all there is to it. Like, it's not time heals all. It's not, oh, the longer you wait, the better you'll feel. You'll take everything comes in waves. You'll feel different about this every day. One day you'll be like, I'm never talking to this person again. The next day you'll be like, I love them so much. I want them back. And she was like, and then one day you just won't think about them at all. And that's all there is to it. And at first I was like, that is so goddamn dumb because all I think about is this situation. So there's no fucking way on earth that I'm going to wake up one day and not think about it. And then I had a day when I was in California where I hadn't thought about it all day. And the next morning I told Ellie, I was like, I didn't think about it all day yesterday. Like it slowly seeps its way out of your system a little
Mhm.
bit. And some days it's seeping a lot out. Some days it's seeping back in.
Yeah.
But eventually it's just the consistency of thinking about it every day and building it up and breaking it down every day slowly stops. In some ways, the consistency of it's in my head every day goes away. And I don't know if you came to this episode thinking that we were going to give you life-changing advice. I think that'd be contradictory to our point of the fact that the
Good
only
advice.
the only way out is through, is the
Totally.
truth,
It
you
really is.
know?
And I think it's one of those really hard situations too, because even getting back together really wouldn't make you even feel better. And I think that's a really hard realization too. And I think when I was going through my breakup, I was delusional. Like
I mean, she lied herself all the way through that.
I lied myself the whole way through, babe. If
Yeah.
you think you're bad, let me just tell you what I did. I watched YouTube short tarot card videos telling me that we were going to get back together, and I believed them. And we did. So you know what?
And
I actually can't
I was
say
gonna say, you know what?
I actually can't say that they were wrong, but I really did. Like I dead ass. Like I remember I watched this one video and she's like shuffling the cards. She's like, "You guys are going to be back together." We broke up in October. She's like, "You guys are going to be back together by Valentine's Day." And I was
I
like,
mean, you were back together, like, right after that.
no, but okay, because I was like that it's a crazy fucking turn of events type of thing. But like, I was like, no, we're not. We're not. Like, there's no way. That's too soon. All this stuff. And then I woke up at her place, not in like a weird way. We were like, it was like torrential downpour. We had this very like dramatic like notebook reunion.
Yeah.
Honestly, I was on the phone with Sid the whole time, and I was like, Sid's like, "Are you sure you shouldn't be driving right now?" I'm like, "No, whatever. I'll
And
tell
she
that's
kept
rude."
telling me, I was like, "Are you sure you should be driving right now?" Because I knew that there was, like, gigantic flood warnings and stuff. She was like, "You
Yeah,
can't tell me not to go." And I was like, "I'm not telling you not to go see her. I'm telling you to be smart about the fact that it's dangerous to drive. Like, you're missing my
yeah.
point." And she was like, "I'm going."
Me in my car skidding through the streets of LA to
Yeah.
get there, and then I, like, couldn't go home. Once, like, I was at her apartment, I couldn't go back home because it was actually, like, at that point, it was really dangerous. So I
Yeah.
woke up on Valentine's Day in her apartment, and I was like, "Ashley, you are fucking right, babe, like, yes." So you know what? Honestly, like, everybody told me, like, don't please don't do what I did, truly. And I don't give you one piece of advice, don't do what I did. Like, really just go out, live your life, get outside. I was, like, bedridden, I didn't do things, that's, like, something I really respect about Sid. She, like, kept doing things and, like, getting up and going and going and going. That's not true. I didn't not do that, but I just, I think a lesbian breakup is a little bit different, I will say. You're, like, bleeding your souls together in a very unhealthy way, so unlatching them is a little bit difficult.
Yep.
But that's what I learned in my breakup. I learned that I need to be my own person. I learned how to be my own person again.
Yeah. Like, I would say the thing that helped me the most was actually being honest with my friends
Yeah.
for, like, the first, because not that I've never been honest with them, but it was the first time I really had they had to, like, see me in a place like that in real time, and also, like, believe me, I wanted nothing more than to lay in my bed with all the lights off and never hear from anybody ever again and do nothing other than that, and thankfully, unplanned, but I had scheduled work every single day for 6 days following the breakup from, like, 9 AM to 4 PM every day, and there was no way around it, so
Yeah.
I had to get up and go to work. Like, I had deposits that had already been paid to me for this work, like, I had to go, and I think that was, like, just a blessing in disguise that I had scheduled all of this because it forced me to just be like, "You have to do it, and you have to do it, and you have to get up, and you have to get up," and have, that distraction and whatnot, and I do think it's important to feel all of your feelings. Like, I went and did that all day and would be distracted and, I'd forget about it and I'd be laughing with my friends and enjoying my time, and then I'd get home and it'd be time for bed and I would be like and it all, like, would come crashing back. And but beyond leaning on your friends that are there for you, I actually think, like, learning how to be your own person is a really good thing because in a very non-judgmental and a very non-negative way, everybody that's ever been in a long-term relationship, everybody that's ever been in a relationship that ended really abruptly, that had a bad breakup, will tell you that there is no way that you didn't lose yourself a little bit because that is part of forming a life with somebody. Like, when you're in a relationship with somebody, you give and take a little bit. And so you do lose part of yourself. You lose a little bit of your independence and it's not a bad thing. Like, if it's the right
No,
person and
no.
you're together and you're getting married and whatever, it's not a bad thing. It's
Yeah.
just the truth that that does happen. And I think that very much so was the case for me. And recently, if you didn't know, or if you don't know me personally, then you probably don't know that I didn't drink or go out or pretty much do any of that for the majority of college. I was sober for a little over 3 years, which is really crazy to think about just for, like, my own personal reasons. I can go out and, like, it's okay to relinquish some control and get a little tipsy. It's okay to, like, go do spontaneous things and, like, not for the joy of being like, "I'm free from the shackles of a relationship and I can just go have fun." It's more in the sense of, like, "Wow, I've never enjoyed these things with my friends before. Like, this wasn't my scene. Maybe it is now. Like, what if I do like this? It's been 3 years since I've done anything like this. I love doing this workout. I love reading this kind of book. I've been loving cooking this type of food. Like, I've been loving whatever." And it's just like, I think the two things that were the most important to me was, one, being able to hear everybody and understand that I could hear them and not have to take it to heart just yet. Like, I could bottle up all of their advice and store it away for when I was ready for it. Two, leaning on your friends and being vulnerable for the first time is, like, a very scary thing. And I know, especially in a breakup, when you just feel like the rug is ripped out from under you. And a lot of times, I know from at least my own experience with my friends, is like, you always feel so dumb. You're like, "Oh, I'm so stupid. How could I not have known? How could I go through this?" Whatever. And admitting that to your friends and being vulnerable about the fact that, like, you got your heart broken is such, like, a stripping thing to do.
Yeah.
And you just have to do it because, especially if you have good friends, they really will make you do it. And also, like, letting yourself cry your eyes out at night and, letting yourself be sad and letting yourself feel all of the feelings and yell at the ceiling about how could this be me and why could you do this and da 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 da. And then also being able to balance that with, okay, and I have to get out of bed today and I have to eat today because it is a slippery slope. Also, the last thing that I was going to say, and this is advice for my sister, which is crazy that I'm even going to share advice from my sister on this podcast because typically it's not something I would share with the public. But she was the one that told me, and she was like, no matter what you find out after the breakup, no matter what you find out they're doing, no matter what you find out they did, no matter what, do not post the petty video, do not text the petty thing, whatever. And at first, I was like, that's so stupid. And then she was like, don't do it because one day there will be a conversation with somebody or something, and giving them all of this power to speak about you. And you're giving also, like, maybe it's funny to you and your friends that you posted that funny video, but the people that don't know the details of your relationship, you look like a fool and you look immature and you kind of give up some of your power, like your self, like personal power by doing that. You
Mhm.
don't get to walk away as like the way that you wanted to, you know? And at first I didn't get it. And the more I thought about it, the more I really do get it. Like there is so much power in, taking the high road and like keeping those moments for you and your friends. Like you can make the video, laugh about it together, but you don't need to post it, and like you don't need to put it out in the public because you will inevitably find a way to be frustrated by what they do after the breakup. Because when you're going through a breakup, anything that person does is a dick. Everything that person does is a feelings hurt, is a whatever. It's like you're gonna see things posted, and you're gonna hear things they're saying or hear things they're doing, and you're gonna want to be like, I'm gonna post this, da, 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 I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna do that. Just don't. Like the biggest weapon in your arsenal is silence, truly. And it
Yes.
doesn't matter. And it doesn't matter if they didn't do anything wrong. Like this person could have been doing nothing wrong during your relationship. And then
Yeah.
you see that they're at a bar after the relationship and your mind spirals and you're like, and they're drinking and they're obviously fine and they're clearly not sad about me. And so you want to like send some dig to them or whatever. Like it doesn't have to be that like they're out doing anything crazy. Like this is just like where your mind runs when you're in that position. And it's like the biggest weapon in your arsenal, like not even to cause harm or to cause hurt, but to protect yourself and your own peace is silence.
It really
Silence.
is. That's something that I did too. I deleted all social media because
Yeah.
I didn't want to know. I knew that I wasn't going to be able to handle it. So instead, I sent my best friend, Sydney Merchant, and I had her stalk. Once again, don't do what I did. Do not do what I did. Don't do that because it just hurt me. Like I would literally have Sydney would recreate the TikToks on, it was crazy.
FaceTime. I mean, I would FaceTime her and I'd literally position myself how the video was, say what it said, what the comments were, and I would like act it out. Like, don't
And
do
like,
what Ellie did.
don't do what I did. There were some TikToks that she wouldn't tell me about to protect my peace, which I really appreciated. But I think it was like one of those things where I think this is just a lesson in life. Like, it doesn't matter what other people are doing with their time. Like, if you stop looking out and you look in, that journey and doing that process is so much more valuable than I think a lot of people give it credit for. And that's just to be said with anything, like a friendship breakup, like anything really. It's just,
Yeah.
it's not good for you to be so consumed by what other people are doing and to think, and also you really don't know. Like it's such a hard lesson to learn. And I
Because you
know how
don't.
hard it is. You don't know. You have no idea what that person's going through. You have no idea what that person's thinking. And that's in anything. If you think that somebody's living your dream life and you're looking at them on social media and you're envious and you're like, oh, I want to live that life and all these different
Yeah.
things. And you don't know what that's like. You really don't. Same thing with a breakup. You have no idea what that person's going through. You have no idea
And
what they're
that goes
thinking.
back to that you can't judge what anybody's doing when they're grieving because you don't know.
You don't know. Like, I think that's a really hard pill to swallow because when you're in a relationship with somebody, you're their partner. You know everything that they're thinking. You know everything that they're going through. You know everything. And then suddenly you don't, and you're broken from that, and you're kind of like taken away from that. And it hurts really bad because now you're not entitled to that information. You don't get to hear what's happening in their life. You don't get to hear how they feel. You don't get to hear any of the details. You don't get to know the meaning behind things. You can't just ask them and talk to them. And it's painful because it's really hard to take a step back because you feel like your body still feels like you have a right to know that information, even though on paper you don't. And so giving yourself that space and just kind of not allowing it to even be in your orbit, to even be hurt by it, I think is a really beautiful thing. And that is my like kind of fundamental rule about a lot of things,
Yeah.
about like a lot of people that's been in my life that I just like, I don't need to know what you're going through. I don't need to know what's happening in your life. It's not going to help me. It's just going to make me more mad. I can't spend my life trying to measure up to what you're doing or try to meet the expectations that you're setting or try to live this idyllic life because then you're not doing what's going to actually make you happy. And that's the truest version of healing is to forgive. I saw that when I was in Ireland. It was like the sweetest revenge is to forgive and to forget
Yeah.
and to move on.
And also the like what you said about like looking in instead of looking out is like the truth is that if you do want to get back together with this person hypothetically, or you don't want to get better or get back together with this person hypothetically, it doesn't matter because you can't do either without working on yourself.
100%.
Because if you just get back together and you didn't do any of the healing, you're just the relationship's not going to change and it's not going to be better for you and you're also not going to be healed from the betrayal of a breakup. And if you want to, go out in the world and do your own thing and rediscover yourself and meet new people and, find your own happiness, you can't do that unless you look in and do the work because otherwise you're just kind of floating out there with like no direction. So I don't know. I think that my like overarching piece of advice is one day you will wake up and all of a sudden the time will have passed anyway. And if the time is going to pass anyway, you might as well do something with it. Like the
Yeah.
days are going to go by no matter what. And I totally respect sitting in your bed and needing to cry it out because I did that. But also, for it could be as simple as today I took a shower, or today I cooked a meal, or today I went and did something fun, whatever it is. But every day of the breakup, do one thing that has nothing to do with the breakup and is only good for you.
100%. That's beautiful advice. I also feel like I've kind of been shitting on myself with how I handled my breakup. I will say I did not like what I did, like obsessing and being, that's very like what I was going through. However, I think that in all breakups and things, I really do think it's a great breakups are hard because you are essentially admitting to the world that something was wrong, that your relationship wasn't perfect. And our world now is very obsessed with perceivable perfection and making sure that everything is great and living this beautiful, lavish life. And so when you break up, you're basically saying, like, oh, it wasn't that way, which is very
Yeah.
hard. And I think something that's great about that, though, is that when you can't pretend to be perfect and you can't pretend like you have it all together, you have to look inward. And I think
Yeah.
that's something that so both Sid and I are very committed to. Like when I was going through my breakup, I went knees deep into therapy. I mean, I worked on things I had never thought I was going to work on. I healed from things I never even thought were connected to relationships. I started this podcast. I wrote a novel. Like this is going to sound crazy, but when you're going through a breakup, I actually am really excited for you because you're going to discover things about yourself and you're going to meet yourself in a way that you would have never anticipated. And you're going to see ways of yourself. And just like Sid was saying before, like there are things that you're going to lose about yourself when you're in, it's just going to happen. And that sometimes that's a great thing. Sometimes you lose things about yourself that aren't healthy. Sometimes you lose things about yourself that don't serve you. Sometimes you lose things about yourself that you really did like. And I think being alone and having that space and time to be alone, you can reevaluate the things that you lost and the things that are coming back and say to yourself, are these things I'm willing to lose again? Are these things that I like about myself? Are these things that I want to keep around? Are these things that are
Yeah.
good for me? And saying that to yourself and having that and really a great reevaluating session is a really healthy a tool, I think. So breakups are hard. They
And
suck.
also I will say like,
But
yeah. I will say you are shitting on yourself because I do think it like I will say like the obsession stuff
it
and
is.
all of that jazz like it's funny
It
now
is.
because we can laugh about it and like whatever and we're like oh don't do that because for your own sanity like don't go down the rabbit hole of like what are they doing should I check this should I check that and that's like whatever everybody goes down that rabbit hole anyway but there's no need to shit on how you
You
handled it or
were
be like
very
don't do anything
silent.
that Ellie did
You
because
protected your
you were
peace
very
and
silent you
you
protected your
developed
peace
this
and
podcast and you wrote your
you
whole book
developed this
and you did a
podcast
lot of
and you wrote your
things
whole
that
book and you did a
we
lot
keep
of
making jokes
things
got back
that I
over.
think, we keep making jokes that you got back together over a tarot card reading, whatever, but your relationship, had you not done those things and that self-discovery would never have overcome getting back together and that breakup. And also you would not be remotely
Mhm.
the same
And you wouldn't
person
and I think
you
there's
are now.
also something really
So
beautiful about the fact that you aren't gonna get back together with this person. Like, there like, I kinda think it's beautiful that we're both on opposite ends of the spectrum because I think we both get to represent, like, a very different experience, and I think that for you, you've learned so much about yourself, and you've done so many things that you've never done before, and I think also you didn't have a lot of you were dating this person since you were 17, which is a long, long time. So all of those primitive experiences of like going out, getting drunk with your friends, making stupid decisions, like being in kind of a college and not in a relationship is such a like, at the time, I think everybody yearns for a relationship, everyone wants to be, and I wanted to be in a relationship so bad in college. I didn't get into my relationship until I was a senior in college, and I remember, like, "Oh, I want this, I want," and then looking back, I'm like, "Oh, but I'm actually so grateful that I had those experiences." There's this idea in psychology that, like, if you're going through different stages of life, right? It's like 1 to 11, you're discovering who you like, different things or whatever, and if you miss one, you're constantly gonna be going back and repeating it. And I said to Sid, I was like, "I genuinely feel like you didn't get these experiences. You didn't get to be fucking stupid and just be free and let go of control for a lot of reasons beyond the relationship, but just because Sid's life didn't allow her to be free and not have control. We talked about this last. You get to experience it. How beautiful is that? That you get to go back, not go back, but go forward into something that you've never experienced before and see the joy in it. It's such a beautiful thing, and I think it's amazing. I also think it's really great that you're going through this at the same time that you're graduating because it's all happening at once. All of this upheaval, so you can just start this beautiful new life for
Yeah.
yourself. You're handling it amazingly. I'm so proud of you. Killing the game, girl.
Thank you. And me and Ellie are about to be
Yeah, I'm going to protocol with her sometime
neighbors!
soon, and
Yeah!
I'm gonna suss it out for
And starting the first week of August, pretty much all of our videos will be in person. I feel like that kind of wraps up what we were trying to get at. Hopefully, we were able to give you some advice, and even if we weren't, hopefully you can look at us as two people, for example. Like, just know that mere weeks ago, I thought I was never going to survive this, and here I am. So the truth of the matter is that if you're in it, you will get through it, and that is the only thing that somebody can tell you that is 100% the truth, no matter what, is that if you are in it, you will get through it. We let us be some sort of guidance and example for that, and, grief has no roadmap, so however you choose to handle
yeah,
it
and give yourself a
is
little
I'm gonna
grace too,
hope
because
the
it's
best for
hard.
you.
Now move on to book of the month time. Book of
Please.
the month. We're reading Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil, as you know from I mentioned in the beginning. We didn't talk about the last section last week, so we talked about 2 sections this week. I'm loving it. I really am. I'm really, like, enjoying it. I'm having a lot of
Yeah.
fun. I'm actually okay,
I'm
it's
pulling it right
told in a
now.
very interesting way to me because it almost feels like we're reading it in past tense. Because it's like it's very, like, "And this happened, and this happened, and this happened, and this happened." We're not really in the scene a lot. I don't know if that makes sense. So I'm very let me say this. I
No, it does
don't like
make sense.
historical fiction because I don't wanna go back to, like, talking like Shakespeare time because I never understood and I don't even wanna pretend that, like, that made any sense to me.
You were saying it's quite a talent to be able to write.
Yeah, I
Like,
don't
you
like
don't
historical
like
fiction
historical
because it's
fiction
like
because
I don't wanna pretend that I know how they talked 5,000 years ago. I don't. I don't even want to pretend. So I like the fact that our girl Maria, she talks just like me. She's also super pessimistic. She kinda scares me sometimes. Like, in this first section, I
Yeah.
was like, "Are you?" And I'm also like,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm really I like this book. I'm also like, I've missed my lesbians.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
I love the way it's written so far. I love the way it's written. I think it's really interesting that we can switch. I like that we're jumping time periods, and I don't feel like I have to do this full 180 and be like, wait, switch gears. Now I have to be in this mindset to read this character. Because especially in historical fiction, when you're jumping time periods, I think you have to really like understand the dynamic in some way of that period. And I feel like they did this author's done a really great job of ensuring that you can really jump from and the time periods are quite a bit of years apart. So I think the ability to jump between those 2 is what's making a book that is
I hope
pretty
so. Is
dense in
that a crazy
nature,
thing to say?
easy to read
Like, I re
because of the way it
I'm
was written.
waiting
Some
for
of the
her to,
notes I
like,
had on
kill
the characters
somebody.
was,
Like,
I
this
love
them, I'm
that
like,
Maria is so
is she gonna kill the
spiteful and has
mom?
so
Like,
much
is she gonna
fire,
kill
and I
dad?
hope she
Like,
wrings
it's
the
so interesting.
viscount or whatever dry. I hope she wrings that motherfucker dry.
Mhm.
Right. Yeah. No. And I have yeah. Yeah. And I have a lot of questions about the widow, so many questions about the widow. And then as far as Alice and Lottie go, I I love Alice and Lottie just as their own people and their little, the relatable.
She's like, "Okay, I'm gonna
Yeah.
be new Alice right now. Be new Alice." And it's like, this whole idea of like, well And she's like, "The best way to beat somebody else is to, like, just pound shots." And I'm
Yes.
like, "Yeah, like, you really," like, it's such an interesting kind of, like, question and kind of conversation to have about how compelling it is to read about why you want to be somebody new and why being and how college offers this, like, and it's so true, we've talked about this before, like, when you're in high school, everybody knows everything that you've ever done. Everybody knows everything, and then when you go to college, you can just be this new person, like, you and nobody knows anything that you're going through. They don't know your family, they don't know anything, like, you can make up whoever you wanna be, which is scary, and, like, you don't have to
Yeah.
be somebody new, but yeah.
Yeah, I just find Alice so relatable, and I think one of the things that, like, really stuck out to me is that she especially in the first section is where she had said, like, "At midnight, the pumpkin turns on, I'll go back to being old Alice," and then she's with Lottie, and she, like, really lets go and spends this time with Lottie, and then she was like, she could have checked her phone, and if she would have looked at her phone, she would have seen it was past midnight, but she
Totally.
didn't. And I just think that that was such a beautiful way of explaining that, like, the whole thing is a facade, like, who we are and who we're trying to be and being this new version of yourself. And, I really like Lottie. I think she's really cool. Like, I so far
That's
don't have, like, a ton of
about with
notes on, like, the
genres that, like,
plot or,
we're
like, anything
some
like that. I
200
think we're still
pages in,
pretty
and you still don't really know
early-ish.
what's
Like, we're
going
only
on.
halfway.
I you know what? Really. Yeah, so I love this book. I'm excited to keep reading it with you
That's
all. I
historical
hope that
fiction
you'll
for
go
you.
read it too. It's Pride Month, happy Pride Month, and that's all we have for you today. We love you. We'll see you in the next chapter.